Hello, good day everyone. This is Learn with Agogo. Today we'll be looking at Scrum Made Simple, a beginner's guide. So I'll be walking you through Scrum itself, the principles, the values on this lecture. Move to our next slide. So basically on this journey, what you will end up gaining is we'll talk about the definition of Scrum. We will look into Scrum theories and values, the team roles. We'll be looking at the events and artifacts, putting together all this information. Okay? So the first thing we want to get to know is what is Scrum. Scrum is a lightweight framework that is adaptable to complex solution in a bid to find a more simpler solution. So when projects were developed, they tend to be very cumbersome, very complex to look into. So two persons came together when they were on vacation. They had a meeting and they came up with the Scrum way of doing things. So that is the reason why it is now called the lightweight framework. So lightweight framework simply means rules for solving complex problems without overwhelming bureaucracy. Overwhelming bureaucracy means you having to take permission from team's head. Team's head have to get to send email to directors and all that. That comes with most project, most waterfall project or legacy projects. So teams generate values through flexible response to changing needs, that is in terms of adaptability. So when you are developing this project, there is need for adaptability. You come up with easier ways of resolving these problems. And going to the next section, so Scrum is built on three pillars. The three pillars are transparency, inspection, and adaptation from the foundation. So these three pillars, you need to be transparent in dealing with your teams. Tell them what it is. Inspection, you check what is being done as the project progresses in every iteration. And adaptation tends to follow through with the customer's requirements. Work must be, so on here I've got transparency. Work must be visible to all stakeholders. Clear artifact lead to better decisions and shared understanding. In terms of inspection, frequent checks on progress detect problems early. Without adaptation, inspection becomes pointless. Okay? Adaptation. Teams adjust their process the moment they learn something new. Quick adaptation requires empowerment. These all link to building deliverables on empirism. So we learn from experience when we have worked together. Okay? So here we'll be talking about the 5 Scrum values. The 5 Scrum values are commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage. As rightly defined there, you can see commitment has to do with team members dedicate themselves to achieve goals and support each other. On the aspect of focus, we concentrate on sprint work and goals to deliver maximum values. And openness, be transparent about work challenges and team member capabilities. Respect has to do with the value. We value diverse skills, backgrounds, and experience of all team members. On the area of courage, do the right thing and tackle difficult problems with confidence. So I'm going to walk you through these 5 Scrum values. So when we talk about commitment, the teams involved in the development of the project should have the goal in mind, that anything they are doing, the main focus should be on the goal, and they should support each other into achieving their goal, irrespective of their personal interests. So the main area is the focus, having to look at what are the requirements that has been set for each sprint. So when your deliverable is being worked on, you don't veer away from that laid down request set by the product owner. On the area of openness, you should be able to speak to your team of your competence, and the team should be able to work with those that they think are competent in specific area of the project. Okay? And the team should also respect everyone's opinion when meetings are held, when discussions are made in terms of their skill sets and others. And in terms of courage, the team members should be able to report their defects when there is one. They should state their weakness if they've got any, and be able to relay any blockade, obstacles that they are facing in the course of executing the projects. On here, we'll be talking on Scrum team. Scrum team is made of the product owner, developers, Scrum master. So who is the product owner? So the product owner is the man with the big bag, the man that defines what goes into the backlog. So he maximizes the product values, manages the product backlog, communicates vision clearly, and make final product decisions. So he or she gets from the stakeholder what they want for that very project, put those into stories, and pass it across to the team in the product backlog. Okay? So for the developers are involved in the execution of those stories that have been generated by the product owner via getting feedback from the stakeholders. So they create usable increments in each sprint. They own sprint planning and quality, adapt daily to reach sprint goal, hold each other accountable. While the Scrum Master ensures the Scrum is understood, so your own area will be trying to make sure that the developers and the product owner understands these principles and the values of applying Scrum in the project, coach the team and organize the team, remove impediments if there is one, and facilitate productive environments. Okay? So these are some of the things that you will be doing as a Scrum Master. Okay, so let's go to the next one. On here, we'll be talking on Scrum events, the rhythm of success. So here it has to do with the sprint plan. So the sprint plan, why is the sprint valuable? What can be done and how will it be achieved? Okay, so those are some of the questions that will be considered on that section, please. Okay. So that's some of the sections that will be considered on here. So what can be done? How will it get done? Okay, that's for the sprint planning. Then on here, we will be looking at the daily scrum. This is a 15-minute stand-up to inspect progress and adapt the next 24 hours. Adapt it in the next 24 hours. So every morning you have a specific location where you meet for your scrum meeting to discuss what needs to be done on that very day. Okay, that is for the daily scrum. So the sprint review has to do with inspect outcomes with stakeholders, adapt the product backlog. So after you execute, that's the project developers, they've completed the execution as requested from the sprint plan. They can showcase what have been done to the stakeholders during the sprint review sections. Okay, on here is the sprint retrospect. Sprint retrospect has to do with inspecting teamwork and progress, then plan actionable improvement. So this is the team coming together after the sprint has been completed, asking themselves what has been done properly and what has not been done well, and improving on processes as well as teamwork. Okay, all events happen within the sprints, a fixed time frame of 1 month or less. That serves as the heartbeat of the scrum, turning ideas into value. So most times, most projects, they tend to take between 2 weeks to 4 weeks. But in most cases, you see 2 weeks being used as the lifespan for each sprint. Okay. On here, we will be looking at the Scrum artifacts, making work visible. So what are the things, the tangible things that can happen? So these artifacts are the products backlog, the sprint backlog, and the increments. Okay, so the product backlog overwhelmed the list, product backlog is ordered list of everything needed to improve the products. Single source of work managed by the product owner, as I've previously highlighted. Okay, the sprint backlog, the sprint goal, why, select items, what, actionable plan, how, is equal to the developer community. So on here, it is the developer that has to define why, what, and how this sprint backlog will be achieved. Okay, after the product owner has generated the stories for the developers. Okay, on here we'll talk about the increments. So increment is usable stepping stones towards product goal, must meet definition of done to provide values. So this is the sections where you get your deliverable delivered at each sprint. Okay, so let's quickly define here. The definition of done ensures shared understanding. Without it, work returns to the product backlog. So if the stakeholder is not satisfied with the definition of done, the stories are returned back to the product backlog. Okay. Scrum in action. We'll be using the bakery story as a simulation. Okay. Product goal set. So the product goal set on this simulation project is bakery chooses perfect chocolate mint cake as their product vision. The sprint plan. The team commits to test 3 recipe variation in this sprint. Okay. And the daily work. Bakers meet each morning, sharing progress and solving problems. Sprint review. Customer taste samples and provide valuable feedback. Then the retrospect. Team improve their own schedule for better efficiency. So on here, we talk about you coming up with your product that you want the customer to get at the end of the day, which is a perfect chocolate mint cake. And the team decides what recipe is best to get this very product. Okay. Then they work on the product itself. So bakers meet each morning, sharing progress and solving problems. So they are doing their trial sections, weighing of the doughs and all that comes with the cooking process to get the right cake. Okay. Then they review after they give to the customers when they had their first meeting in the sprint, and the customers had taste of those meal, of those cake that was done by the bakers, and give their sincere feedback. If they are satisfied, the project flies. The deliverable is taken as done. If not, they go back to the drawing board, bring it back to the backlog, and go through it all over again. Okay. Then the team improves their own schedule by better efficiency. So when it is satisfied that this perfect chocolate mint cake has met the requirements set by the customers, the team can have their in-house meeting to discuss the best way of delivering in their subsequent production process. Okay. And what they didn't get right in the course of the process as well. So that is your part 2, the success on how to get Scrum done. So a take home is start with the framework. Resist the urge to modify the Scrum until you understand why each element exists. Respect the time box and rules. Each event has a purpose and each role brings unique accountability. Embrace transparency. Make work visible. Share feedback openly and learn from every sprint. Continue improvement. Use retrospectives to evolve. Scrum works beyond software in any complex environments. Remember, Scrum is simple but powerful. Value plus rule plus event plus artifact equals your recipe to success. Thank you for your time today. Hope you learned something new from this quick section. Please do well to subscribe to this channel. It's a means of encouraging us to put more there for your educational purpose to learn the best way on managing of your diverse projects. Thank you for your time, and you have a great one.